If you have people in your life that they want to leave, let them go. If you are in a workspace and your company is not feeling fulfilled, leave. Or if you are living in a place, a home that forces you to consider moving, move on. And if you're in business, if you have a client who wants to discontinue with your service, find new clients. And let me explain to you why. Okay, previously I recorded 2 episodes of Eco Identity and Eco Death. If you haven't watched those episodes, I'll put the link in the show notes and the description if you're on YouTube. So let me explain to you, first of all, if you have anybody in your life, friends or relationships, a romantic relationship, if the other person or another partner that they decide to leave, let them go. And the reason being is because I've been talking about ego death and dissolve your ego identity. Because when you really do that, when you dissolve your ego identity, you're vibrating in a different frequency. And that oftentimes the people around you, the people surrounding you, friends, or even family, they are not aligned to you anymore. Your frequency does not match anymore. And you might be in the higher level of the frequency and they might be in the lower. So that's why in your 3D reality, these people will just automatically either just phase out, you never heard from them, or sometimes if you, like I mentioned, if they are your friends or you're in a relationship, something will happen to make you guys not be together anymore. And when I say let them go is because if you hang on to them, then your work on dissolving your ego identity will be wasted and you will shift back to their lower vibration and frequency. And that's why when they want to leave, let them leave. But you might say, hey, Shelbe, but I feel so depressed. I feel so sad. I feel there's pain in my heart. I can't breathe. Yeah, this happened to me before. And I recently just learned, because I go through this ego death and ego identity dissolving and practicing spiritual awakening. So I finally awake after 10 years of dwelling on my last relationship. And at the end, this applies to everybody. At the end, it's actually the story that in our mind that's keep us wanting to have more and or wanting to keep this person. Because our mind, our thoughts creates our reality. So I realized this person, my ex-boyfriend, was nice and he was very caring. But then the story I'm telling myself about this person, it's what kept me going, kept me trying to get back with him for the last 10 years. I'm creating that reality in my head, in my own imagination. That's why I'm not in any relationship for the last 10 years. I've been single for 10 years. And that's the reason why I most likely can't find any other partners or new partners, because I have this story that I created in my mind, and which means I created my own reality. And if, let's say, if we put this in a friendship, if you have a, let's say, negative experience with any of your friends or anybody, and remember, everyone is you pushed out. So everyone is your own reflection. So which means whatever you experience towards anybody is your own reflection. So if you're mad at somebody, you actually have to go inward of yourself to find out what's going on. In that case, if you are mad with somebody, you also create a mental story about that person. That's why I say it's a mere reflection. Okay, not that this person that you're thinking about or dislike about, he or she doesn't care. It doesn't affect them anymore. It doesn't even concern about them, but only you, because the story The imagination of that person, it's only in your head. And that's why you have that reality that you experience of that person, even though they're not around you anymore. And so if these people, if you experience anybody wants to leave in your life, please let them go. Because when you let them go, you open a new space within your mind. Just think about that. Open a space within your reality. If you occupy so much past memories, past stories, or your imagination story, then how can you be able to have new experience, new friends, or new partner, new boyfriend or girlfriend? Correct? So that's why when you are experiencing somebody wants to go, let them go. Okay. And next I want to talk about is job. If you're working 9 to 5, you want to feel the security, so you want to hold on to a job that you might not, or you don't have a motivation, it doesn't drive you anymore, and you just go in, drag yourself every Monday, and when you go to work, you counting every Friday to have a weekend, and you repeat. That's not life. And if you happen to feel that way within yourself, just let yourself explore maybe new possibility. Remember, in the quantum field, there's infinite possibilities. If you let go of this job, the new opportunity will appear because your radar will expand, right? Let's say if you're working on a job and you don't like it, and you just are focusing on depressing, you're bored and you're sad, and you're not even channeling the new possibility. Does that make sense? So that's why if you work at your job right now and you don't feel like it, it's draining you, draining your life and draining your maybe family life, your personal life as well, your relationship, everything. Because I've been there myself. I never really hold a steady job for long term. And during COVID, I was awakened to this matrix system in our society. So now, even though having my own business is not as easy, but that's my mindset, right? So if I tell myself there's always opportunity, then I will project that reality. And because of the awakening, I don't feel like going back to a 9 to 5 anymore. And I made a lot of video on that previously, but I will dive into it more in a spiritual perspective. So that being said, if you are working at a job that's draining your energy, you don't feel the purpose, you're not creating, then it's the time, it's the opportunity for you to find new opportunity. And when you let that go, mentally, okay, in your mind first, then you will start seeing the opportunity. And then in your physical reality, then you will probably wanting to change your job if you have a job, okay? So if you ask, what about business? And yes, same thing applies to business, because if you have a client that you're working with, or you have any potential opportunity deals with other companies or other business partner, if somehow something happened, doesn't work, let them go. Also explore new opportunities. And I have experienced recently as well. So just a long story short, I have a marketing agency business as well, and I have a client that I signed up for the last, I'd say, 4 months or so, and then somehow there's another person came along, and he also owns a marketing agency. I can sense the energy is interference my energy, and again, everyone is pushed out. Right? We've pushed out. So this marketing person show up to teach me something. I can sense that. And it's also try to test my ego Remember, we're talking about ego identity, ego, dissolve our ego death, to dissolve our ego. So this person is testing my ego to see if it's really dissolved, to see my ego is really dead. And yes, I'm aware of that. You have to be conscious, aware of every situation that happens or every person that interrupts your frequency. And this person did come in and interrupt the frequency. And of course, if we put it in a 3D perspective, it interrupt the system that I was helping my client with their marketing, social media marketing. And that being said, I kind of see this coming, and maybe I'm projecting this reality to myself, but I feel calm, peaceful, and in my mind, I'm just flowing with this energy. Dissolve this and let it go, and just see new possibility. Because this happened to me throughout many years, and now I'm looking back, this memory, every time it has that same pattern, it repeats. It always show me something and to test me to see if I learn. And this time I learn. I'm just gonna leave it as is and let it flow. And if they want to leave, my client wants to work with that person, go ahead. Because I know the new opportunity will show up right away, because that always happened in the past, that this pattern always happens. It's just like our seasons, right? Winter always come after fall. Fall always come after the summer, and they repeat in the cycle. If you're running a business, you have a clients, or in some cases, if you're also in real estate, if your buyer or seller doesn't work out, let them go. If when the energy cycle back around, they will either come back to you to ask for your help, or you will find a lot more new clients sooner or later. Okay? The life situation that I want to share is your home. Okay? If you follow my channel, you know I recently moved. And sometimes there's many cases can happen to where you live. If you own your own home, maybe you experience a bad neighbor, a new neighbor, or somehow the structure or the building, it's not working in the way you want it, and or the neighbors stress you out. So anything can happen at where you live. And sometimes where you live will force you to move. And when that happens, just flow like a water. And don't try to fight for it. Don't try to resist it, because you're blocking the new energy comes in. That you might manifest that new energy and it wants to come in, but you're blocking them by resisting, by not accepting, not surrendering. It's not showing the weakness or tell you to give up. It's to step aside and let the energy flow in. Your body is actually a home as well. And my personal story I want to share on this is my recently move. It's all because what I just described. Okay, it was a rental, and my roommate and I was getting along for a long time, and then long story short, he got a boyfriend, and things got different, right? Because you have another body in the house, right? So things are a little bit complicated, and then it start involved with the boyfriend's family, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into detail, but the energy that I'm observing in under that roof, that house, changed. Okay, it wasn't the same as before, even though, again, I love that place and I was proud of being able to live there. Okay, but also this is testing me, ego death, right? Try to dissolve everything I used to like. People are used to around me, right? I just have to step away, let the energy flow in through me. And what happened is I moved to a different place, and everything that I experienced so far, it's only, 3 weeks? It's been great. and everything I see surrounding me change. It's just like I mentioned, I move on November 11, 11/11 portal activation, right? So I move on that day at 11 a.m. So everything just shift. And I'm so glad and happy that I was able and have the conscious aware of this change. Okay, the key word is change. A lot of times that we don't like change because we are feeling comfortable, and many times there's uncertainties. Uncertainty creates fear, and when fear kicks in, fight or fly, right? And actually, none above should be in your consideration. You don't want to fight for it because again you're resistant, you're blocking, okay? And you don't want to fly, meaning you're giving up. When you're giving up, you walk away from the lesson that you're supposed to learn, it will come back and you will have to retake the test. So the best way is flow. You don't want to fight or fly, but you want to stay in the flow. So that's the experience I want to share with you guys today. And if you like this kind of subject, spiritual, your mind, your reality, creating what you experience daily, subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you are on the audio platform, please follow and write me a review. And if you're on YouTube, write me a comment. And we just had a Black Friday giveaway, and I decided to open a community so we can engage with each other and learn from each other. I'm creating a community on school. Even though it's on school, I am not your coach or your teacher or your guru, because only you can be your own teacher, your guru, and your coach. I'm just here to trigger your consciousness and expand your awareness so you can see there's more opportunities in this quantum field. So I'm opening the community. It's called Quantum Consciousness Awakening Portal, and it's free to sign up right now. And when the school community is ready, you will be getting a notification. So right now you want to sign up and it's free to join. And so I put a link in the show notes on the audio platform. I'll put the description under this video on YouTube. Okay? So until next episode, stay safe and peace.